When you hear the word automation, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably robots on a factory floor, right? Doing the same physical task over and over. Well, that picture, it's totally out of date. What if I told you the next wave of automation isn't aimed at the assembly line, but at the corner office? Let's get into it because a new report from Coface and the OEM paints a startlingly different picture of where we're headed.
So, what's so different this time? Well, it's a whole new ball game. On one hand, you had past automation. That was all about robots and basic software handling pretty routine stuff. But on the other hand, we have what's coming now, agentic AI. And this isn't about automating one simple task. No, this is about automating entire workflows, the kind of complex, brainy work we always thought was safe.
So let's be super clear here. This time really is different. The automation waves of the past kind of hollowed out the middle of the job market. But this new frontier, it's not aiming for the middle. It's targeting a completely different class of work. And that, right there, changes the whole game.
Okay, so you might be thinking, oh, this is just about tools like ChatGPT, right? Well, not exactly. The report makes it clear the real disruption isn't from these tools used by themselves, it's from what they call agentic systems. Think about it like this. It's the difference between asking a calculator to solve one math problem and giving an AI a whole project and saying, figure it out. It's not an assistant, it's an autonomous worker.
So with all this change, how do we even begin to navigate it? You need a map, right? And that's exactly what the COFACE and OMU framework gives us. It's a way to see, with actual data, where the pressure is building and who's going to feel it first. Let's look at how this plays out. Right now, most of us are in what you could call the co-pilot stage. The AI is a tool. It helps us out. But the really big leap, the one that's just around the corner, is this special agent phase. And this is where things get wild. The AI isn't just helping anymore, it's doing. Our job literally flips from being the person doing the work to being the person supervising the work. Okay, so here's the million-dollar question. Who's on the front line? Who's most affected by all this? You might think it's super complicated, but the report boils it all down to one surprisingly simple rule, a single idea that tells you almost everything you need to know about your risk. And here it is. It's basically this. The more your job involves interacting with the physical, messy, real world, handling things, fixing things, caring for people, the safer you are. But the more your job is about sitting at a computer, just processing information, basically turning one set of data into another set of data, well, the more exposed you are. Now, once you accept that one simple rule, the consequences are, well, they're pretty shocking. The new automation hotspots are probably not where you think they are, at all. So just how big is this? The report estimates that about 1 in every 8 jobs, 1 in 8, is facing a massive fundamental shakeup. We're talking 13% of the entire workforce is on a collision course with these new special agent AIs. But the real jaw-dropper isn't just the number. It's who is in that number. Just look at this list. Engineering, legal, finance, management. Wait, what? These are the jobs we were always told were safe. The high-paid, use-your-brain careers. Turns out their brain work is exactly the kind of information processing that AI is getting really, really good at. And then you flip it on its head. Who's the safest? Look at this. Skilled tradespeople, plumbers, electricians, in-person services like nursing. Their work has what the report calls embodied complexity. That's just a fancy way of saying they have to deal with the unpredictable physical world. And for now, AI is terrible at that. So why? Why are these high-paying desk jobs so vulnerable all of a sudden? It really comes down to a few things. First, their raw material is digital. It's just ones and zeros. Second, the judgment calls they make, well, AI can learn to make those same calls by looking at millions of past examples. And that expert knowledge they spent years acquiring, an AI can basically download it. The bottom line is, that diploma on the wall isn't the shield it used to be. Okay, so this isn't just about your job or my job. We need to zoom out because this shift has huge, and I mean huge, implications for entire countries, even the global balance of power. And here's where it gets a little bit mind-bending. You know how past technologies automated a task, but then created a new, more complex task for a human to do? Well, with AI, it can automate a task, and then it can automate the new task that was created to manage the AI. It's a cycle that could just keep going, which makes looking at history for answers really, really tricky. And because of this strange new reality, we're on the brink of a massive historic reversal. Everything we thought we knew about who gets hit by automation is about to be flipped upside down. Get ready for this. For the first time ever, automation is set to hit the highest earners the hardest. The top 10% of earners have way more of their jobs exposed to AI than the bottom 10%. It's almost double. Think about that. We're not hollowing out the middle anymore. This wave is coming for the top. This leads to a fascinating idea the report calls the headquarters trap. It's a total paradox. Countries that did everything right, building these amazing economies based on finance, law, tech, all that knowledge work, are now caught. The very thing that made them so successful is now their single biggest vulnerability. And you can see this trap playing out on the world map. Look at the countries with the highest exposure. It's a who's who of advanced service-based economies: Luxembourg, the UK, Switzerland. And who's lower down on the list? Countries with more manufacturing or hands-on service jobs, like Japan and Turkey. The pattern is crystal clear. So this is about way more than just job numbers. The real fallout here is that it forces us to question everything. We have to completely rethink what a high-skill future even looks like. And one of the first things to go out the window is this old idea that more education automatically means more job security. For decades, the mantra was always, go to college, get a good, safe job. AI is putting a giant question mark next to that entire idea. In fact, the data doesn't just question it, it flips it completely. There's a direct link. The more formal education you have, the more exposed you are to AI. It's the university-educated professionals who are in the hot seat now. It's totally counterintuitive, but the numbers don't lie. And the risks for entire countries are pretty stark. You've got three big ones. One, wealth shifts away from people who work to the people who own the AI. Two, governments could lose a ton of tax money because so many taxes come from those high-paying jobs that are now at risk. And three, a handful of giant tech companies could end up holding all the cards, creating some really risky dependencies. So what's the path forward? It's pretty clear that just knowing things isn't going to be enough, because an AI will always know more. The real value, the new premium, is going to be on the stuff that works with AI. We're talking about real human judgment, the ability to adapt on the fly, and truly critical thinking. And all of this leaves us with one last massive question to chew on. If AI can automate expertise itself, if it can just absorb all that knowledge we used to call professional skill, then what does being a professional even mean anymore? What's our role in a world like that?